Let's go to Lesotho now. With 33 constituencies out of 80 now official, former Prime Minister Thabane's Basotho Convention is leading with 27. Well, this was expected as the party enjoys support in the capital, Maseru, and the peri-urban areas. Deputy Prime Minister Motejwa Metsing has retained his Mahobong constituency. His former Secretary General, now leader of the Movement for Economic Change, Sidibe Mochoborwane, has also won his Thabane Morena. The only female leader of the opposition Reform Congress of Lesotho, Ms. Keketso Ranso, has also lost her Tawong constituency. Voter turnout has ranged between 38 and 56%. Election observers in Lesotho have raised concerns over the overlapping roles between the army and the police. This after the Lesotho IEC expressed shock that the army had been deployed at some polling stations, and contrary to earlier undertakings that the army would only transport the voting materials to hard-to-reach areas. All right, let's get the latest on that story now. We're joined by a reporter on the scene, Ntakwana Ngatane, all the way in Lesotho. A very good afternoon to you, Ntakwana. How much more constituencies are still outstanding in terms of voter counting?
Good afternoon, Alicia. Well, in the past 3 or so hours since the IEC reopened this morning, they've now published 54 constituencies. And yes, the Basotho Convention is still in the lead in terms of the constituencies. Out of 80, they now have 42. And the Democratic Congress, the Prime Minister's party, has 8. The Lesotho Congress for Democracy has 1. Now, you remember that those two parties and the Popular Front for Democracy are in a pact that they went to just before the elections. Now, the Popular Front for Democracy has 1 seat, so that means that that coalition now has 10. The Movement for Economic Change, Sidibe Mochoborwane, as you mentioned, has retained his Mahobong constituency, and that is 1 seat or 1 constituency. And Munyani Moleleki of the Alliance of Democrats has also retained his Machache constituency in a sense that is an endorsement that he left the Democratic Congress and formed his own party. Alicia?
Ntakwana, I mean, what do then these early results actually spell out for the final outcome of the elections? I mean, Thabane's party is leading with about 27, but as you've mentioned, even more now. I mean, is it too early to declare any front runners or outright winner?
Alicia, we have to be mindful that there is also the 40 seats that will be allocated through proportional representation, a compensatory proportional representation that will compensate parties that have not managed to get constituencies but have a lot of votes nationally, that is individual votes nationally. If you look at the actual number of votes, the ABC has now, with 42 constituencies, has 200,000 votes nationally. But the LCD and the Democratic Congress together jointly have about 130,000 votes nationally. So that it gives you already an idea that maybe these two parties might end up getting a good share of that proportional representation. But also, we still have 21 constituencies to go, and these are the ones where the Democratic Congress traditionally enjoyed support. There are rural areas, there are areas in the mountains, there are areas in the highlands of Lesotho. But looking at the inroads that the Basotho Convention has made, again, we can't be sure that they will get those votes until they're actually published. So we now have to wait and see how that pans out. Alicia?
Any talks of coalitions, Ntakwana? I know that one party had already, made provisions that should they not be an outright winner, then they do have that coalition. Is there any talk of this at this stage, or they're still waiting for the final outcome?
I think we're still waiting to see who has what before they start talking about coalitions. Because as I say, for instance, the Basotho National Party, the Reform Congress of Lesotho, the Alliance of Democrats, and the biggest partner in that alliance, the Basotho Convention, have already expressed their desire to go into a government of national unity, and they had said that all other parties willing to go into that government of national unity with them will be welcome. But as I say now, the Democratic Congress, the Lesotho Congress for Democracy, the Popular Front for Democracy, and other smaller Congress parties have also expressed an interest in going into a coalition. These other three have already gone into the election together. So I guess we have to wait for clear, indicative results to actually say how many seats each party has before they can start talking about the bargaining that goes into agreeing whether or not you go into a coalition with one party or not.
All right, Ntakwana, I'm going to ask you two questions in one. Speaking of clear indicative results, when are we expecting those? And also this issue with the army now that apparently didn't just transport the voter material to those hard-to-reach areas. What is SADC and the IEC in Lesotho saying about this matter?
The IEC was shocked on Saturday, which is why the observer missions have come out clearly to take a stand on the issue. The SADC observer mission saying that it is clear that the role of the army and the police has to be clarified in the law because Section 5 of the Army Act gives the army the power to prevent crime and to maintain law and order. And this is the same mandate that's given to the police. So SADC clearly saying that that needs to be looked at. Former president of Mozambique, Joaquim Chissano, saying that even the constitution of Lesotho doesn't say who the commander-in-chief of the army is. So that also needs to be clarified. But all the observers unanimous that, in fact, Lesotho needs to look at the overlapping roles of the police and the army, especially because whether it is perceived or real, there is a perception that they are politicized because of these unclear roles. In terms of the outcome, Alicia, the Independent Electoral Commission has said that they expect counting to be done today, or rather publishing to be done today. But if it's not done by the end of the day today, latest tomorrow morning.
Ntakwana, thank you so much. We'll definitely check in with you to get those final results. That is our correspondent in Maseru, Ntakwana Ngatani, giving us the latest rundown as we eagerly await the final results of those elections in Lesotho.